let me tell you something. I've mentioned this several times already in my videos and online, but the way that Preston told Danni what was up, stood 10 toes deep, and then walked the F out of her apartment was the highlight of this episode. Do I feel bad for Danni? No. Just like with Andy, no. You're getting what you're getting. You can't have your cake and eat it too. But then again, I never really understood that saying because, I mean, if you got cake, why not eat it? But then again, it probably has a deeper meaning that I care to actually take the time to, look up because I'm lazy. Because I've done a bunch of videos today, folks. Give me some slack. Cut me some slack. But basically, it's like I said in one of my other videos, probably my episode review, where I said, honestly, there's not much I can say about this scene because everything that went down in this confrontation, I've already called it. I've said it for months in multiple other videos. I've said it online in straight up dissertation posts. I'm talking like essay length posts where I go over how I think the scene was going to play out or would eventually happen and talk about the problems with Destin. And even though I don't know Trinity on a personal level, I don't think we've ever like had a conversation outside of a couple of like Twitter replies. But I think that obviously he was there when the stuff was filmed because he delivered the lines. But I feel like every time I made a deep post going into detail about the problems with Preston and Danni, when he would like, comment, or retweet my post, it's like, I can't say nothing now, Jeremy, but just hang in there because there's going to be an episode where everything you said is going to happen. I called it, from Preston staying up late for Danni to get home so they can talk and Danni just, avoiding the conversation. Then the next morning when Preston brings up, are you sleeping with that guy from work? And if he does decide to leave, Danny's just going to accuse him of running. Your boy was right. Usually I don't like just say, ha ha, I was right. But in this case, yeah, I was right. The reason I'm kind of gloating is because a lot of people on Wednesday night retweeted me or tweeted at me, yo, Jeremy, you called it, man. You were right. Because I think earlier on Wednesday, I even posted a video about, that Danny's probably going to just say that Preston is leaving. Because, the video title, Danni will accuse Preston of running if he chooses to leave her. And I was right. So when it comes down to this actual conversation that took place, look at it from the perspective of Preston. This man pointed out everything wrong with their dynamic. Notice I didn't even say relationship. I said dynamic. It's the fact that he knows Danni isn't feeling him the way that he's feeling her. And my favorite part, even without him walking out of the door, was that he pointed out, correctly pointed out, Danni, I think that deep down, you don't love me the way I love you. And Danni says, no, I don't. F you, Danni. But basically, it boils down to the fact that, sad as it is, the only reason that Preston is even at the apartment with Danni is because he saved her from Jonah and she was afraid that dude would come back for her and she felt like she needed protection. But once it got to the point where she felt like there was no longer a threat from Jonah, that's when she kind of reverted to her old ways. And I've been saying this time and time again, Preston with the fiance. And to me personally, from what I recall from the show up until this point, I do not know if Preston is still engaged, but I was willing to think that Mindy, I do believe Preston stated Mindy is back in Texas, but it was never confirmed whether or not they called off their engagement. But Danni was the one who initiated the idea of them being in a relationship. And I'm like, I don't think Danni would suggest that to Preston if he was still engaged to Mindy. That doesn't sound like Danni, considering she called out the ridiculousness of it all when she met Mindy. Wait, so you're his fiance, right? And he proposed to you with the same ring he proposed to me with. And you're okay with your fiance dropping you off at a hotel and then coming over to my place to talk to me. This doesn't, no, this is just some white stuff right here. So I feel like she definitely would not have suggested a relationship with Preston if she was still aware that these two were still engaged. So personally, my headcanon, until it's been confirmed that I'm wrong, is that the engagement is off. That doesn't mean Mindy isn't still waiting for Preston, but the engagement's off and he was fully committed to Danni. Yet less than 24 hours later, what? Tony's introduced. Then she meets up with him with the other girls at the restaurant for the blind date. Then they hang out. She gets home and, well, Danny's going to do what Danny's going to do. Next morning, leaves 2 hours early. Preston catches her at work with Tony. And we're just back to an old cycle. Just the old cycle between these characters. Now, when it comes down to it, Preston just let her know, like, you know, I don't know why I keep coming back to you, but the worst part is that Danni, yet again, doesn't even want to have a conversation. And Preston, like, look, I know it's early, but here's the thing. If I don't talk to you now about this, you're just going to avoid having the conversation later, because when you get home from work, or if you get off work, but then you don't come straight home, you'll say you were with your girls and whatnot. And then when you get home and I've been waiting for you all day, you say, I'm too tired to have this conversation. So basically, you're just going to avoid it. What needs to happen is the conversation about what's happening between us. Like, let me know, because I feel like at some point you're just going to get bored with me. Because didn't Preston say that a few episodes ago? I just want to check in because I don't want you to just wake up one day and say that you're tired of me being here. So I just wanted to check in and make sure we're cool. And Danny's like, no, we're fine. We're fine. Preston, stop overreacting. But then she doesn't want to have a conversation with Preston now. She's like, oh, okay, Preston. Yeah, whatever you think. And then he's like, look, I'm tired of this BS. All you're doing is deflecting. And she does exactly what she always does. She tries to throw Preston's past in his face. And it's like, that's not relevant to what's happening right here, right now. Yeah, it might hurt your feelings, but a fair question to ask is whether or not you're sleeping with this dude from work, because, well, typically that's what you do. And then on top of that, it's like, well, do you think you're interested in him? Do you want to sleep with him? I don't know yet, Preston. I'm like, see, now that's an answer that I didn't want to hear, because now it's like, what's the point of me even being here? Because now it's like, I'm just going to sit around and wait until you eventually sleep with this guy. So I love Preston in this scene, because the more that Danni tried to be like her usual self, deflecting and throwing it on Preston until he gets so frustrated he leaves. And he's like, no, we're not doing that. And I'm not running either, because you've given me every reason not to stay. Why would what person in their right mind would stay with a person that they love and then the other person just treats them like crap? And then the fact that you don't want to address this conversation is I feel like that was the most frustrating part about the interaction here. It wasn't that Danni was barely talking and whatnot. Well, no, actually, it wasn't that Danni was trying to deflect and whatnot. It's just the fact that she wasn't addressing the situation at hand. She wasn't able to have a conversation. It's like, what's the point of being together if we can't even communicate, you know? So the fact that she said that in her mind, oh, Preston, oh yeah, Preston, you're acting like you're the victim. Yeah, he kind of is. I mean, the night before when you got back and you didn't want to talk, he's like, look, I've been waiting up for you all day to talk, and now you don't want to have a conversation. It's like this morning when I saw you in the parking lot, you said, Preston, we'll talk after work. And here it is in the wee hours of the night, and you don't want to talk. It's just like, when there's something I want to talk to you about, I want to talk to you about it, instead of, just tabling it until you're ready, which will never come. It's kind of like Fatima in the past couple seasons of Sistas and Zatima, where it's like, well, when I want to talk about something, well, what does Zach say? It's like, how come whenever you want to talk about something, I have to like drop everything and talk about it right there in the moment. But when I want to talk about something, you need to like process and stuff. And it's like, that's not right. That's not fair in any kind of relationship dynamic, because it feels like, one person has to be neglected emotionally, while the other one, it's like, no, whether or not you're ready to talk about something, I want to talk about it right now and nip it in the bud. And it's like, no, that's inconsiderate. But basically, the fact that Danni made this about herself. Oh, so I'm a whore now. And it's like, I didn't say that, Danni. But in her mind, there's no talking to her. So Preston, I like the fact he spoke his piece and he got out. That was it. And Danny's going to act like she's the one who's butthurt about it. And, you know, later in the episode, she's crying and all. It's like, no, what you crying for? What you crying for? You were told what you needed to be told, and you didn't want to accept it. So you'll run your mouth to your girls talking about how Preston called me a whore when that's not the situation at all. And I talked about in a separate video about Sabrina's airheaded ass believing Danni. Yeah, it makes sense she will believe Danni over Preston, but based off what she does know about Preston, don't you think that seems a bit out of character for him to say you're a whore, even though it's like she kind of is? And, well, Sabrina, you should know firsthand. Weren't you the one that called the intervention for Danny's hot girl summering it up when you walked in and saw that she had slept with Q? Seriously, it makes no sense. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad Preston told Danni what he had to say. So he stood 10 toes deep, and then he got the hell out of there. So whatever happens to Danni, let me put it this way. I don't want anything bad to happen to Danni. You know, it's just that she deserves whatever comes her way. Again, that's not me saying that I want something bad to happen to her. It just means that if Danny's going to continue down this path of just hooking up with randos after her experiences with Jonah, then I don't know what else to say for her. But then again, it's like someone said a long time ago, this sisters group is so damn toxic. It's the blind leading the blind. And yet they want to blame all their troubles on men. He lied. He called me a whore. Oh, he expects me to have sex after putting up over $1 million for me. It's just stupid ass people. All right, well, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Bravo, Trinity. Even though it's sad to see you leave the series, Preston deserves way better. And whether or not you appear in Zatima in the future or come back for, let's say, Zach and Fatima's wedding, I at least hope that Tyler does put Trinity the actor in other projects of his. So with that being said, that's all I got to say. This was a chef's kiss moment. Definitely in my top 10 favorite moments in the entire series. Preston telling Danni what's what and getting the hell up out of there. So like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.